Did you know that 70% of wealthy families lose their fortune by the second generation, and a shocking 90% lose it by the third? Too often, families lose millions to taxes, legal fees, and heirs who burn through their inheritance in under a year. But here's what's wild. All of it could have been prevented with the right trust. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to protect your legacy with the trust and ensure you pick the right one for you, so your wealth actually helps your family for generations. Let me ask you something. Do you want the government to decide what happens to your hard-earned money? Or would you rather maintain control even after you're gone? Here's why trusts aren't just for the ultra-wealthy anymore. First, without a trust, your estate goes through probate, a lengthy court process that typically takes 9 to 18 months, costs thousands in legal fees, and becomes public record for anyone to see. That means your financial details, family disputes, and personal business get exposed for the world. Second, trusts minimize estate taxes. Without one, up to 40% of your assets could go straight to the government instead of your loved ones. That's like working from January to May just to pay taxes after you die. But here's the most important reason most people overlook: protection from poor decisions by the next generation. Remember the stat I mentioned earlier? A study by Williams Group found that 70% of wealthy families lose their fortune by the second generation. Why? Because inheriting a lump sum without guidance is like handing a teenager the keys to a Ferrari without driving lessons. Here's a common example. A parent leaves a $2 million inheritance directly to their child. No trust, no guidance. Within 18 months, it's gone. Spent on 3 exotic cars, a failed business, and loans to friends that are never repaid. Years later, many heirs in that position say the same thing. I wish there had been some guardrails. I just wasn't ready. A properly structured trust would have distributed that money over time, with conditions that encouraged growth, education, and responsible financial management. That's the difference between leaving money and leaving a legacy. If you are starting to realize just how easy it is for wealth to disappear without a plan, you are not alone. Choosing the right trust can feel overwhelming, but you don't have to figure it out on your own. If you'd like some personalized guidance, you can schedule an estate clarity meeting using the link in the description. We'll review your unique goals and help you choose the right trust strategy to protect your legacy and support your family. Now that you understand why you need a trust, let's break down the 2 main types and the key differences. Understanding these distinctions is the first step to making an informed decision about which might be right for your unique circumstances. First is the revocable living trust. Think of a revocable trust like keeping the spare key. You can take it back anytime. You maintain complete control during your lifetime. You can change the terms, add or remove assets, or even dissolve it completely if you want. The biggest advantage of a revocable trust is flexibility. You are still considered the owner of the assets, which means you can manage them just like you normally would. It's like nothing changes in your day-to-day life, but behind the scenes, you've put protections in place for the future. That flexibility makes revocable trust especially useful when life circumstances may shift, whether it's changes in family structure, caregiving needs, or financial goals. For example, I often recommend this approach to clients in blended families who want to leave assets to children from a previous marriage, but also providing for a current spouse. A revocable trust gives them the ability to adjust the plan over time as relationships evolve. They are also helpful when you are planning for someone with long-term medical or special needs. As caregiving responsibilities change, a revocable trust lets you update how resources are allocated without having to start from scratch. But here's the catch. Revocable trusts do not offer asset protection. Because you still technically own the assets, they remain vulnerable to creditors, lawsuits, and they are still included in your taxable estate. In fact, if you're in a high liability profession or concerned about lawsuits, assets in a revocable trust may still be accessible to creditors. That's why revocable trusts are best used for flexibility and control, not for shielding wealth. The second type is the irrevocable trust. This is like giving away your car completely. You're handing over the title, the keys, and walking away. With an irrevocable trust, you transfer ownership of your assets to the trust itself. In most cases, you cannot easily change the terms or take back assets once they're in the trust. That sounds scary, right? Why would anyone give up control? Because the benefits are significant. Since you no longer own those assets, they are protected from creditors, lawsuits, and even nursing home costs. They are also removed from your taxable estate, which can save your heirs a significant amount in estate taxes. For example, many families use irrevocable life insurance trusts, called ILITs, to hold a life insurance policy. If you own the policy outright, the death benefit gets included in your taxable estate. But if the ILIT owns it and you survive the transfer by 3 years, the proceeds can pass completely tax-free. Imagine someone with a 15 million estate and a 5 million life insurance policy. If the policy isn't in an ILIT, their taxable estate is 20 million. But if it is, and they live for 3 years, the 5 million is excluded, potentially saving millions in taxes. Irrevocable trusts can also offer protection beyond taxes, especially when it comes to family dynamics. For instance, they are valuable if you want to protect assets from a child's divorce. In some states, a surviving spouse may have a legal claim on up to 50% of inherited assets if they are not kept separate. That's why it's important to educate heirs to keep inherited assets outside of marital accounts. The irrevocable trust creates a fortress around your assets that few legal challenges can penetrate. For many wealthy families, this protection is worth the loss of direct control. Now, let's get to the million-dollar question that makes or breaks most estate plans. Which trust is right for you? This isn't a one-size-fits-all answer, but I can walk you through clear guidelines based on what works best in different situations. Choose a revocable living trust if you want to maintain control and flexibility with your assets. Your estate is under the federal estate exemption, which is $13.99 million for individuals in 2025. Your primary concerns are maintaining privacy and streamlining asset distributions. You want the ability to make changes as your life circumstances evolve. You are earlier in your wealth building journey. A revocable trust is like dipping your toe in a estate planning pool. It's an excellent starting point that solves many problems while keeping your options open. On the other hand, choose an irrevocable trust if asset protection is a major concern. For example, if you're in a high liability profession like medicine or business, you want to minimize estate taxes on a larger estate. You need to qualify for certain government benefits like Medicaid. You have specific concerns about heirs mismanaging their inheritance. You have special circumstances like a child with special needs. And you are established in your wealth and confident in your long-term plans. These trusts are especially common for ultra-wealthy couples, those with estates over 28 million, who want to lock in tax benefits and ensure their assets are protected from legal challenges. But they can also be used by anyone who wants to transfer wealth in a highly protected and tax-efficient way. What many people don't realize is that many wealthy families actually use both types of trust as part of a comprehensive strategy. They might place their primary residence and liquid investments in a revocable trust for flexibility, while moving business interests or life insurance into irrevocable trusts for protection and tax benefits. The key is working with someone who understands not just the legal aspects, but the human side of legacy planning. When it comes down to it, a trust isn't just about documents and signatures. It's about protecting what you've built and making sure it benefits the people you care about long after you're gone. If you found this breakdown of trusts helpful, make sure to check out this video. It walks through the estate and tax strategies that many people with modest estates overlook and how to avoid leaving your family with a surprise tax bill.